YouTube, how are you now? Back with another video. Today we've got the Emerson CQC-10. This will be kind of another story time video. This is really the first knife that kind of got me into the EDC and knife collecting game. In a recent video, I showed you guys my first kind of EDC knife, my 1998 Victorinox Pioneer. And I mentioned that about 10 years later, I got a knife as a gift that kind of got me into the modern day EDC and knife collecting game. And this is that knife. It was a gift from my wife, who was at the time my girlfriend. You see here 2007 on the blade. Kind of cool that the knife commemorates the year for me, so I don't have to use my memory. So this was pretty interesting, to wake up on Christmas Day one morning and, my wife always knew that I had an interest in pocket knives. She decided to get me a really high quality kind of modern day pocket knife. She, after the fact, admitted that she didn't realize how big this knife was when she bought it for me. She intended it just to be a smaller kind of pocket knife, but when this thing showed up, it was quite large and tactical and scary looking, but I really loved it despite all that. This was really cool gift to open, and opened up my eyes to how far knives had come along in recent years after I hadn't been paying attention. So I'll give you a little walk around the knife here. Emerson, US company, made in the USA. CQC-10, that's the model, 2007. Got the partially serrated blade. Extremely ergonomic handles, super comfortable. G10, big beefy pocket clip. G10 backspacer, lanyard hole, flathead screwdriver for the pivot. It's pretty neat. It's a liner lock. Don't always love the liner locks, but it works, no harm done. Opening hole as well as the wave feature. This catches on your pocket as you bring it out and just flings the blade open. Or just traditional with the opening hole. I don't love the wave feature. I think I'd prefer it without it, to be honest. I'd rather just manually draw my blades out of the knives. These can lead to kind of partial openings, which can be a little awkward and even dangerous at times. Although, if you have the right pair of pants and you've practiced and you can fling it out properly, it's pretty cool, but I'd be fine without it. Also, the detent on this knife is extraordinarily weak. It's so easy for the blade to just kind of fling itself out. I don't love that. I like the detents to be nice and secure, so you don't have any partial openings in your pockets, and don't want any cuts down there in the pocket region, that's for sure. Really great knife, though. Certainly enough to get my interest in the knife game. So I definitely started going down the rabbit hole at that point. I'll show you another Emerson knife that I picked up in a moment. Something to note about the Emerson knives, they only grind one side of the blade, which is this side. You can see that grind nice and wide. It's extremely sharp, nice grind, great serrations. But when you turn it over, this is not ground for sharpening at all. It's called a chisel grind, and I'm not a huge fan. This kind of being a tactical and fighting knife from Emerson, I get it. It's if you're in like a tactical situation and you're kind of pokey slashy with this thing, it's not super important to note the chisel grind. In fact, it makes it easier to sharpen in the field since you only have one side to sharpen. But, if you're using this like most people, not tactically, maybe you brought it camping or something, if you try and carve a little stick with this chisel grind going the opposite way of a right-hander, it's going to make it awkward. I've been able to whittle wood with it, but it doesn't feel good, doesn't feel natural, it doesn't feel easy. But this is not a whittling knife. This is, I would think, something for maybe soldiers or police officers to carry. And in that role, I'm sure it's great. And I've still really, really enjoyed it over the years. I'll show you the next Emerson I got after I got this one. This is the Mini CQC-10. So there is a larger version of this exact knife. I believe the handle might be the same and the blade is just slightly longer. So again, the same kind of minor faults as this larger knife. The detent on this one is not great also. It also features the not preferred chisel grind, but again, it's still a very sharp knife, still cuts. Still really like it a lot, but I just don't know that I would recommend a chisel grind to anybody, and certainly not for the everyday user. It's pretty sweet, pretty pointy Tonto grind on this. Nice small blade, easy to carry. Thumb disc for opening, wave feature for opening, liner lock. Yeah, these knives are not too cheap. Not what I would look for anymore, I don't think, if I was looking for tactical knives. There's a lot of options and you don't have to deal with the annoying chisel grind of the Emersons. Like I said, I still do totally appreciate these knives and I'm really happy to have them. We're in 2020 now, so these have been in my collection for 13 years. Clearly I like them, or I could have traded them or sold them by now. But this one is, of course, special for sentimental reasons. It was a gift and it kind of kicked off my hobby of EDC and collecting. So pretty much been retired for the collection. This one has no sentimentality to it, just a user knife, which I don't carry too much because of the weak detent I spoke of. I don't like this kind of flicking open so easily. So this has been relegated to my car console. It's a car console knife. We've all got one, right? We've all got that kind of beater knife, and granted, this is a nice knife to consider a beater. But yeah, if I ever do forget to clip a knife to my pocket or throw a knife in my jacket one day, then I have this one in my car. I feel a little bit less naked at work if I have my knife with me. So if I forgot one, I go to my car, I've got this in the console. And yeah, it's just fun to carry on occasion like that. Okay guys, so yeah, a quick look at some Emersons. Check them out. If you don't have one, I would definitely recommend one. I wouldn't fill my collection with Emersons because of the nitpicky things I mentioned, but they're a great company. They make great knives and they stand by them from what I've heard. Definitely a company that's worth supporting in my opinion, and I'm glad I have a couple examples here. Okay, so I think that's it for today, guys. Alright guys, so we'll see you in the next video.